decided the Otter Creek Wilderness trip in the fall. So before we get into it, I'm just going to give you a little background on Otter Creek. So it's part of the Mauna Goia National Forest, and it has about 8 wilderness areas which have 165 miles of hiking trails. And the Otter Creek Wilderness area is located in the valley between McGowan Mountain and Shavers Mountain. So what we did on the trip was we just hiked throughout the valley of Otter Creek for 4 days. So on the trip, I was faced with some things that I didn't normally have to worry about. So one of the main things was clean water. I have never had to worry about clean water other than if there's a water ban on the tap water. So we had to pump the water manually through a pump with the filter, and I've never had to do something like that. And then also the food. I didn't know what we were going to eat. I just imagined it would be really light, but I ate better than I usually do here at school. So I was surprised at how filling that was. And also I've never had to carry all of my personal belongings on my back for 4 days. So that was really different for me. And so overall, I'm really glad I went on the trip. And I talked to other people who went on the wilderness trip in the summer, and they kind of talked about it like it was some very spiritual experience where they really found themselves in the wilderness. And I didn't necessarily feel like that, but it was definitely a physical and mental challenge that I've never had before. So that was really cool to be able to do, because not a lot of people go backpacking in the wilderness, so having that opportunity was really great. So on the trip, we were asked to tie in some things that we learned in class with what we were doing on the trip. And one of the main things that I think we really touched on were the 7 principles of Leave No Trace. And that reflected on a lot of the topics that we talked about in class. So Leave No Trace exists to educate people about the environmental impact they can have due to their activity in the wilderness, and by leaving things and just human activity. I think Leave No Trace and the people who follow it share the belief that nature and non-humans have moral standing. So they do have the right to be treated with respect. And I think we have an obligation regarding nature and protecting wilderness. So the 7 principles are, the first one is planning ahead and preparing. So it means knowing the regulations in the area that you are in, having a plan and knowing the best timing for the trip. So proper planning reduces the impact that is made to the environment. And then the second principle is travel and camp on durable surfaces. So use clearings without a lot of trees, and use rocks, and try not to disturb the plants and stuff like that. The third principle, dispose of waste properly. I think that's one of the key principles to Leave No Trace. So don't bring your trash or leftover food, and bring a trash bag to carry with you so you don't leave your trash anywhere. And then the fourth principle is to leave what you find. So don't take plants with you, leave artifacts where you'll find them. So that kind of goes in with, this picture goes in with the second principle, using the rocks, and then already using the clearing that we sat in. So the fifth principle is to only build a fire in an existing fire pit and use a stove to cook. So again, don't bring the trash, and keep the fire pit clean. The sixth principle is to respect the wildlife. So animals can get dependent on people for food. So if they start approaching people in the wild, they could end up getting killed because they're dependent on people, and that could be a danger. So they're ultimately killed to protect people's safety, but from the wildlife is really key to like respecting their right to life. And then the seventh and the last principle is to be considerate to other visitors by being quiet and leaving your area as you found it. And a lot of these principles had a lot of theories tied in with them that we touched on in class. And mostly I think the main thing that they touched on was to leave the area without a trace for the people that come after them. So it's kind of like what Teddy Roosevelt said with his quote over Yellowstone National Park, for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. Like, we're preserving these national parks and these wilderness areas for the enjoyment of other people that come after us. So, I don't know, it just kind of begs the question, shouldn't we be preserving it for the conservation, for protection of nature, not just for people? So like a utilitarian would say it's for the benefit of the people, because they don't believe that forests have intrinsic value because they can't feel pleasure or pain, but the forests provide happiness to people, and it's valuable because people benefit from it. Kant does not see the environment as having intrinsic value because it can't reason, but Kant would support protection, preservation, and conservation. And then something with virtue ethics would support conservation of the environment because it benefits people. Again, so in the long run, pollution, global warming, deforestation would all be detrimental to humans. So someone who believed in virtue ethics would want to protect the environment for the good of people. And then if you have a biocentrist point of view, they would put the conservation of nature before the benefit of humans and let it exist because it has a right to exist. So as far as the stance that I take on environmental ethics, I didn't want to choose just one point of belief, so I kind of lean towards more a biocentrist point of view, but I kind of get mixed feelings involving all of them. But when I was on the trip, one idea that frequently came up for me was that this forest that I was walking in, it existed before me and it's going to exist after me, after I'm gone. So just like the earth and the rest of the environment has existed before humans, it's going to exist with or without humans. So I think a lot of people like to separate themselves from nature, but in reality, humans are part of nature and always will be. So since we're part of nature, we should be protecting that part of us. But as far as equality between non-humans and people, I don't necessarily think that nature has like the same amount of rights as us, but I think it deserves to be protected. And I don't believe that like humans are higher up or like more deserving. Like for example, an evolutionary biologist wouldn't say that humans are more evolved than any other animals. We're just better adapted for our environment, but we wouldn't do as well as a polar bear in the Arctic. So in that sense, the polar bear is better evolved than we are for the Arctic. So in that sense, we should be taking the best care of the earth as we can so that we can exist as long as possible. And this kind of ties into Darwin's theory of natural selection, that species will give offspring their best ability to survive and continue passing along genes by passing on favorable traits and by parental care of offspring. So shouldn't we be taking care of the environment and leaving it in a good condition for future generations? So if you don't believe that nature has rights or any of that, you could at least be taking care of it so that your children can enjoy the same things that you're able to. So we also have the responsibility of finding renewable energy and taking care of the earth, because I don't think the past generations really thought about the consequences that they were causing, and now we're kind of stuck picking up their mess. so I don't think it's very responsible to leave messes for future generations. So I think people could be a little bit more selfless in how we care for the environment in the present and the future.